Hi, it's Yasmin. Well, actually, I thought I was about to do a Hay House radio show, but in the spirit of Mercury retrograde, which is going on right now, in fact, I'm not doing one because I remembered the wonderful Diane Ray from Hay House Radio had actually written to me to remind me that they had a studio closure today. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing my Hay House radio show, but I had prepared some notes. I obviously hadn't prepared my hair and makeup because I was going on radio, so excuse me if I look a little bit, well, I've actually just traveled 6 hours back from Paris. So, yes, I'm not looking my absolute best, but you know what? My camera is obviously fuzzy for some reason, and you can't really see me anyway. So I just thought what I'd do is instead of just ditching all my notes for everything I was planning, why don't I do a video for all my gorgeous subscribers? And there's more than 1,000 of you now on YouTube, which is kind of amazing, given that I have to say I am not that active on YouTube. So thank you to all of you who listen in. So I was going to be talking about, well, what I want to talk about now is really the year ahead. I'm not going to go on for hours and hours. I know nobody wants things to be too long anyway. But taking a look at the year ahead and taking a look at the eclipses for the coming year, and also taking a look at the role of Jupiter in 2017. Jupiter being the planet of very good things, good luck, good fortune, good times, good friends, and generally the planet of all things auspicious. But before I get to the eclipses and Jupiter, I just want to talk about a little bit the Venus retrograde that will be taking place in 2017. Now, Venus is the planet of love, as you may or may not know, and Venus goes retrograde, appears to go backwards from our vantage point on Earth, about once every 18 months, okay? It's not as common as Mercury retrograde, which we've got right now, for example, which takes place about 4 times a year. Venus goes retrograde about once every 18 months. Now, this year, Venus will be going retrograde on March the 6th, in Aries, at 13 Aries. If you're an astrologer, you might like to know the degree, but in the sign of Aries. And we'll go backwards until April the 15th, when Venus, the planet of love and abundance, will change directions in Pisces, at 26 Pisces, the sign of Pisces. Now, basically what I want to talk about with Venus retrograde is this. Venus is the planet of love and relating. And one thing I've noticed during the Venus retrograde cycles is that we often feel a bit more separate from our partners, our lovers, our best friends, our parents, anyone who we love, our kids. It's a time where we take a step back, because with a retrograde, the symbol is always about something. So, for example, with Mercury, it's rethinking, redoing, revisiting. With Venus retrograde, it's all about re-evaluating, because Venus is very much about values and about what really matters to us, what we really care about, what we love. And it's a chance for us to really re-evaluate pretty much everything in our lives. But of course, depending on your sign or your rising sign, you'll have a specific focus. And as we get to March, I will go into that on my site. However, and I'll probably go into it here as well if you want. But overall, what you need to know is that sort of early March to mid-April, it's a time for you to be really thinking about what really matters to you. Have you been taking someone important in your life for granted, for example? Something that is, I think, really easy to do, especially people we see all the time, be it our partner, our friends. It's very easy to take people for granted. And Venus retrograde often gives us a chance to think, maybe I need to put a bit more value on the time I spend with this person. Maybe I need to carve out time for quality time. Or maybe, it's a time where you can reassess things and say, you know what, this actually doesn't matter. This relationship or this situation, depending on which part of the chart Venus is hitting for you, maybe it doesn't matter to me anymore. Maybe I'm actually going to reevaluate how I feel about this thing. So it's just a really interesting thing that's taking place in 2017 that I wanted to make you aware of. Now, obviously, my site is called Moonology, and it's all about the moon. And I'm all about the moon. And the moon is great. New moons, full moons, awesome. I love them. Every 2 weeks we get one. Eclipses, for me, are even more exciting in some ways because they are like new moons and full moons on steroids. They're really, really powerful times where we actually get a chance to change our lives. Now, I really strongly believe that eclipses give us a chance to jump from one way of life or one way of being to another. Okay, so one thing you could do now, I'm recording this on the 2nd of January 2017. Think about what in your life do you really want to change. And again, as we get to the eclipses, I'll be talking about on my site, I'll be talking about where the eclipses are taking place for all the different star signs. But really think now, what in my life do I want to change this year? And think about, make a note of the eclipse dates, which I'll give you in a minute, because they really are times to change. Now, new moon eclipses are about new starts that are really rocket charged. Full moon eclipses can be times where we have to let go of something, and in my experience, it's much easier if you already know there's something you need to let go of in your life, much easier to let it go sooner rather than later, because one thing I found, my own life, my friends whose charts I've seen, and clients that I've had, is that if we hang on to something at the time of an eclipse and we know it's not right for us, we know it's outlived its purpose, especially a full moon eclipse, also known as a lunar eclipse, then sometimes the universe will kind of let it go for us. That is much, much harder. Okay, it's much better if we try to think, what is right for me? I want what is right for me. This is in particular if you're hanging on to, for example, a relationship that you know has gone toxic, it's not doing you any good, you're not helping each other grow. Maybe you're hanging on because you don't want change or you're scared of being alone, anything like that. Same with a job. If you can't stand your job but you're sticking with it because you're worried you won't get anything else, or you just only for the money. Eclipses can be times where bang, something happens and your life changes. Now, on one level, it's actually really good news, because if you're in a toxic relationship or a terrible job situation, what's happening is obviously for your own good, okay? It's obviously going to be better for you to be out of a toxic relationship, for example, because apart from anything else, what does it do? It allows you to move into a relationship which is actually going to nurture you, maybe for the rest of your life. But if you're stuck in a bad one, you can't get into a good one. Ditto with jobs if you're in a difficult job. And sometimes what happens at the time of an eclipse can seem really, really difficult, but in the fullness of time, you begin to see it was the best possible thing that could have happened. Okay, so let me talk about what the eclipses are. The eclipses in 2017, they really are a highlight of the year ahead, not least because there is a shift of the eclipse cycle. In 2016, we had eclipses mainly on the Virgo-Pisces axis, but this year they're shifting to the Leo-Aquarius axis, and we're also getting a bit of Pisces eclipse action as well. Now, if you happen to be Leo, Aquarius, Virgo or Pisces, or any of those signs rising, okay, you can find out your rising sign quite easily. I'll give you an address right now, actually, just if you've got a pen. If you go to www.moonmessages.com/free chart, you can actually get your chart for free, and you can find out your rising sign if you don't already know it. So yeah, if you happen to be any of those signs or those signs rising, Leo, Aquarius, Virgo or Pisces, it's potentially a massive year for you because you have the eclipse energy in your chart, which basically means that this is the year for you to do things differently, to change your life somehow, to step outside the comfort zone you've been in. And honestly, it's a chance for you to move towards happiness and fulfillment when you have the eclipses in your sign. People fear eclipses, and I always talk about on my site, why that is. It's because in the olden days, the skies would go dark, everyone would freak out, nobody knew what was going on, and then for weeks afterwards, anything bad that happened, they would attribute to the day the skies went dark. Obviously it's easy to understand. Nowadays we know that's not the case. So the shift of the eclipse signs is happening because the North Node is moving into Leo and the South Node is moving into Aquarius in May. That's why we're getting the change of the eclipses. Now, just bear with me. I'm going to give you the details of where the eclipses are in 2017. There's going to be 4 eclipses, 2 of which will take place in February. February the 10th brings a penumbral lunar eclipse, so that's a full moon eclipse in Leo, 22 Leo. And February 26th will bring an annular solar eclipse, so that's a new moon eclipse at 8 Pisces. Now, if you want to launch something, that makes the end of February, February 26, 27, 28, really good time to launch stuff because it's a new moon eclipse. I haven't actually looked at the exact astrology. Well, I have, but not right now, and it's not in my head, sorry. And there can be some contraindications, but overall, a new moon eclipse is going to be a great time to launch something. I'm just going to think what I can launch because I love to launch things. Okay, February's solar eclipse, just FYI, is the last eclipse that we'll have in either the signs of Virgo or Pisces for around about a decade, so that's pretty big. The second round of eclipses comes in August. The first is a partial lunar eclipse, so a full moon eclipse. It's in the sign of Aquarius, around 15 degrees. It's 15 degrees of Aquarius on August the 7th. Okay, I'm actually giving you US times here today. The second is a total solar eclipse, so a new moon eclipse on August the 21st in the sign of Leo, actually 28 Leo. Now, a total solar eclipse, again, it's a new moon eclipse, another brilliant time, in theory, to be launching things. As we get closer to the date, I'll talk about what other energies are going on around those eclipses, but overall, launch dates around the end of February and the last week of August are going to be super powered by the new moon eclipses, so bear those in mind. This August 21 eclipse is actually going to be a big one, and it's going to get a lot of attention. If you follow a lot of astrologers on Facebook, for example, you're going to get a lot of information about these because not only is it a total eclipse, but it will also be visible from end to end of the United States, from coast to coast. This is the first time a solar eclipse has been visible from the States since 1979. And I have read it's the first time one has moved from coast to coast since 1918. So it's going to be a big, big thing. I should probably fly out to the States on August 21st and do some talks or something, because that would be really fun. And I would love to do that, actually. And the eclipse is going to be massive. Speaking of going to the States, let me just tell you, if you happen to be in New York City or anywhere near New York City around about February the 9th of February, I'm actually going to be doing a talk in New York City with an astrology group there. All the details are on my website, moonology.com. I would love to see you there. The tickets are only $5, which I think they charge purely to pay for the room. And all the details are on my website, moonology.com. February 9, we're going to be talking about full moon forgiveness. So that's going to be fun. I'd love it if you could come. Okay, so now I also wanted to mention the fact that there's quite a lot of Saturn action and quite a lot of Jupiter action coming up in 2017. But what's happening is actually wonderful, because most of the transits we're getting of the big outer planets this year are very, very positive. We're getting Jupiter and Saturn within a positive aspect for most of the year, although they don't peak until August the 26th, which is just after the new moon eclipse I was just talking about. So actually August is going to be a really big time and a really positive time. So again, talking about launches, August is actually looking better and better. The more I talk about it here and now. The reason why I say, you need to go to the details is because if you've got a new moon eclipse followed by, say, for example, a Jupiter sextile Saturn, you've actually got really, really great astrological support for anything you're doing. That's why you really want to know where the eclipse is taking place in your chart, for example. And I have an offering for that. It's on my site. You'll find it. But newmooninfosheets.com will take you to it. New Moon Info Sheets will always tell you where the new moons are taking place in your chart. I don't want to go too much off the subject. What I want to get to is I want to talk about Jupiter, because then I'm going to stop. Jupiter is the planet of luck and good times and good fortune and joy and excitement and adventure. And Jupiter is going to spend most of the year in Libra until October the 10th, which is fantastic because Libra is a sign of partnerships. So it's very good for all our important partnerships, personal and professional. But also Jupiter is going to be making connections with other of the major outer planets. Will be opposing Uranus, squaring Pluto, and also making a trine with Neptune. So overall, I think things are looking quite positive this year. There's a bit of excitement in the first part of the year. We've got the Jupiter-Uranus oppositions, which actually started in 2016. So there's room for change in relationships, but you could say that all changes in relationships now are actually going to lead to positive developments of some description. And as I said at the top of all this, sometimes a positive development in a relationship can mean that you split with someone because they're not right for you. But there's a lot of chance for positive developments. Jupiter opposite Uranus. So the first exact Jupiter opposite Uranus actually took place at the end of last year. And then we've got a perfect opposition on March the 2nd. And then we've got a third and final opposition on the 27th of September. So all those dates bring really positive chances to make big changes when it comes to your relationships, personal and professional. So that's personal partnerships and professional partnerships. There's also a big chance for profound inner transformation because Jupiter will be squaring Pluto, and those dates are, well, it started November 24, 2016, then we've got March the 30th, 2017, and we've got August the 4th, 2017. So again, those dates are times where positive developments can lead to something like a healing crisis, which leads to profound change on an intangible, perhaps psychological level. But again, it can be really important, especially in our relationships, because Jupiter's in Libra, and it can be a time where we start to break through whatever shadows have been holding us back from expressing ourselves well in our relationships and loving our lives, loving our relationship lives. Robert Hand, who is probably the best known astrologer in the world, two astrologers, he said to me personally, I think it was, or in a lecture, there's no such thing as a bad Jupiter transit. So even though Jupiter's squaring, which is a hard aspect, Pluto, which is the dark planet, there's no such thing as a bad Jupiter transit. Jupiter's in the sign of Libra. Those dates really do provide a chance for transformation in your relationship. So make that a goal this year, relationship transformation. And that can be with anyone who really matters to you in your life. And finally, I want to talk about Jupiter and Neptune. Jupiter enters Scorpio in October. And after that, we'll make a trine to Neptune on December the 2nd. And that is just something I wanted to mention because it's beautiful, it's hopeful, it's inspirational. So overall, things are looking quite positive when it comes to the biggest transits of the year this year. So on that note, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to come back to my screen. Hello again. I was looking at my notes. Overall, I think, there's a lot to look forward to in 2017. If you want to learn astrology, if that's something you would like to do in 2017, I want to tell you I do have a new book out, which you can get for free at the moment as a PDF download. Again, go to my site, Moonology, and you will find it there. There is a link. There will be a link there for you. And you can just download it for absolutely for free. And I also have an online course coming out as well. So if you want to learn astrology and you've been waiting for the right time, well, I think it's a Hay House book. Can't get better than Hay House. It's a Hay House book and it's out now and it's available free of charge as a downloadable PDF from my site, moonology.com. Okay, well, that was 20 minutes long, so I hope you got something from it. I hope you are looking forward to a stupendous 2017. It does look overall very positive. Make the most of all the high points that I've mentioned. You know, you could just make a date in your diary and put them put a little alert about 3 or 4 days before, 5 days before, because, you know, these aren't things that come on and off on the day. It's a sort of a cycle and it's a period. It's a vibe that we'll be going into. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening. I just also want to say to all the people who bought my book Moonology and made it a bestseller this year, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I worked really hard on that book. And again, if you don't have the book, you can get it from my site Moonology. It's another Hay House book. Lots and lots of love and best wishes.